Space Coconut.
Okay, so today is kind of a continuation of yesterday's discovery, that forum post. First, I want to apologize. I actually got a little head cold. I'm not feeling very well, so I might not make sense, and I don't want to play Survivor when I feel like this. So I just did a Leatherface daily, so that's in the background. Anyway, please forgive me. I'm just not feeling up to it. So here's the important part of the post that I want to talk about is the fourth paragraph of what Matthew Cotes said in this forum post. Because of the competitive nature of Dead by Daylight, paid content will be balanced against the free content to make sure that paid content doesn't give players an advantage. In Dead by Daylight, paid content is about variety, not power. Now, while I understand the sentiment at what he was getting at, the truth of today does not fit this. And it can be argued that DLC is actually pay to win. So I'm not going to go over all of the perks that we're going to talk about this. We're only going to talk about one, and it's the easiest one to talk about this. Also, I'm only going to use the killer side because, you know. So we're going to talk about barbecue and chili. And now, barbecue and chili came with Leatherface. Leatherface was actually released 2 years ago today. There are 53 weeks in a year. Okay, so that's 106 weeks that, Leatherface has been available. 106 weeks. Let's remember that, okay? Now, barbecue and chili will multiply the number of blood points that you can earn in a match. It depends on your skill. It depends on if you hook the survivors and such. The aura reading and stuff, we're going to kind of ignore that for now. We're talking about the blood point gain because we're going to be talking about the grind. Because what ends up happening with the grind is if you have barbecue and chili and you equip it solely for the blood point gain, you're going to gain blood points faster than other players who aren't using it at the time or don't have access to it for one reason or the other. On a perfect game, you can earn double the amount of blood points that somebody else will earn because of barbecue and chili. Barbecue and chili was only available through the Leatherface DLC, which cost $5. Now, of course, Leatherface is a licensed character, and it's understandable that we pay money for it. But what we're talking about is the perk. If somebody does not pay to buy Leatherface so they can level up and gain barbecue and chili, they are going to spend they're going to spend they're going to spend twice as long as somebody with it, specifically farming with barbecue and chili. I forgot my train of thought, but I think you know where I'm going with this. A person who buys barbecue and chili, a person who buys Leatherface gets barbecue and chili specifically to level up their other characters is going to do so in half the time, depending on their skill, depending on the matches, that somebody else would if they didn't have access to that perk. Half the time. Because, it's double the bullet points, right? So at least half. Or at most, half. Barbecue and chili is a pay-to-win perk. And now people are going to say right away, well, the Shrine of Secrets gives you perks. You can buy them with iridescent shards. And you're absolutely right. It does. But Leatherface was released 106 weeks ago. Barbecue and chili has been in the Shrine of Secrets 3 times. If it pops up, and people see it and they can grab it, hey, hooray. But if they miss out, they miss it. It has only been available 3 times. The problem with perks, there's a whole other section that I want to talk about in regards to this, and that's explaining the different categories of perks and how the devs are kind of screwing themselves over by making perks the way that they make them. And by tying perks to killers, tying them to DLC, they create pay-to-win scenarios. There are more perks that can be argued that fall under the same framing. Of Flesh and Mud was a $7 chapter, and if you ask a lot of people, Hex Ruin is kind of one of those go-to perks that they need in order to do well, in order to curb the rush of gens getting finished in higher ranks. That could be considered pay to win. And then if we take this a step down, rather than pay to win, we've had several complaints in the game about specific scenarios. One example would be, looping. And what ends up happening is, the fixes, instead of being a mechanical fix, they create perks that solve this problem. So like, looping, we get Bamboozle, or we get Spirit Fury. Curtain Call was $7. Shattered Bloodline was $7. We can't fix the problems in the game. The devs can't fix the problems again. The devs will not fix the problems in the game, and they sell us the solutions that we've been asking for instead. This is a problem, and this is not the way that this should happen. Now, in that forum post, it talks about wanting paid content to be about variety and not power. And the problem is, because of the categories of perks, there are perks that affect the killer, and there are perks that affect the survivors. The problems with the perks that affect survivors is that they stack. The most recent example, of course, is Dying Light and Thanatophobia. The devs cannot create any more perks that affect healing because they're going to stack with each other. I think that's also why we're seeing the perks that we're seeing, that they're so lackluster, because they don't venture outside of these categories. I'll go into that like another time, but I think you get what I'm saying there. Dead by Daylight is pay to win. And perks are pay to win. If you don't buy some of these DLCs, you're waiting several weeks in the hope that the perk you're waiting for will pop up in the shrine, or you're going to shell out $7 to get it. In the Stranger Things chapter, thankfully, none of the perks are, they solve very many problems. They're very lackluster. So, you can skip it if you want, but, if you want to play the killer, which is arguably the best balanced killer they've had in a while, let me go there. Oh, and I should also note that according to this total here, hitting the add all DLC to cart adds it up to $101.83. So there's that, plus the $20 game. And let's just chime in here. They want to give a battle pass because, they can't make enough money for some reason. Anyway, new DLCs are pay to win. And the problem is how the devs solve problems, how they refuse to fix core mechanics of the game, how the perks stack together. And these are why they became pay to win. It's unfortunate, and I've said it before, I don't think the devs can fix the problem. I mean, we've gone through one perk overhaul before, but in order to fix this problem, they would have to change how they make perks entirely. And perks would have to be released as general perks rather than tied to a killer. At least the stronger / better perks. If they wanted one that was, specific to a killer, or they wanted a special effect to the killer, that's what a killer has a special power for. As for survivors, I mean, they're mostly skins. They have the audio files, and some people are better than others. I hear Ace is very quiet. But I mean, a survivor player could unlock the perks on the new survivor and then just unlock them on their current survivor and then be done. The killers do not have that luxury. We have to unlock the perk for every single killer, which is fine for, keeping ourselves busy, but it's a pretty high price to pay depending on what kind of player you are. But yeah, perks are pay to win, and without a major overhaul, nothing's going to change. I would like to see perks. I would like to see survivors and killers announced, right? Hooray, new killer, new survivor. And then under that, then general perks are added to the loot pool not as part of the DLC. They're added as a general pool. And this way everybody would have access to the perks, and they wouldn't be able to say that it was pay to win. It'd be interesting. I would like to see that happen. I mean, I guess it'd be like a map. We don't pay to have the map. If somebody bought the DLC and we go to that map, somebody who hasn't bought the DLC can access that map, just like they said in that forum post. The same needs to be done for perks. And instead of this Shrine of Secrets thing, the perks should probably be in the store as iridescent shards. Just a one-time purchase. If you want to unlock BBQ Chili without buying Leatherface, it's in the store. When I'm feeling better and when I put all the information together, I'm going to talk about the two different categories of of killer perks. I'm not going to talk about survivor perks because I don't really know enough about them, you know, but we're going to talk about the killer perks. We're going to separate them into categories. And then on top of that, we're going to split them up into smaller categories, talking about the types of perks, and then kind of outlining and showing why the devs need to change how they make perks, how they design perks, and the direction that they need to take perks in order for them to actually be fair, and then have perks actually be able to create variety in matches. If they did perks differently, there wouldn't be a meta. It would be players trying different builds and trying different things. They currently do that, but they do it for fun because they're bored and they don't want to go to, rank 1 or whatever. Rank reset just happened and people want to play, people want to relax. And you see all of the streamers enjoying themselves right now because they're not at high rank, because the game isn't balanced and perks are a problem. There's so many problems in this game, but I hope I made sense. I hope I got my point across. I think that's where I can leave that. As long as perks are tied to DLC and they're not released for free like a map is, DLC is pay to win. Let me know if you haven't. Let me know if you purchased Leatherface and you leveled him up to 40. Let me know if he's still level 40 and you only got him for BBQ and Chili. Let me know if you bought a killer DLC specific, or let me know if you bought a specific DLC just for the perks, and that you don't even use the killer or survivor. Let me know, because I'd be interested in hearing that. Let me know what you thought about today, about this discussion, and what you think about the one that's coming when we're going to split up the perks and that. Let me know what you think, because I think this is one of the better discussions I've had in a while. So I'd like to talk about it a bit more. I look forward to hearing what you guys have to say. Until tomorrow, I'll see you in the fog.